What is going on, Dodgers Nation? My name is Clint. That guy is Brooke. You probably know us from your Dodgers Nation. That's why you're here, of course. But we're also here to talk about all this stuff that's on the table here. We got a bunch of wine, and we're excited. We're going to introduce some folks from Bellinger Family Family Foundation. Because, well, I mean, if they did their own wine, that would also be cool. But we got the Bellinger Family Foundation. We got Uncorked for a Cause. Cody Bellinger and his family have an awesome new charity going on. And we're going to start talking to some of these folks right now. So let's throw to. Said I wasn't going to use a soundboard, guys, but I am. Thanks for joining us, guys. We got Jennifer Bellinger, we got Clay Bellinger, we got Blake Niehoff, and we got Anthony Biagi all around the table. First, I'm going to throw to you, Blake. You're the guy who probably knows the most about what's going on here. Let people know a bit about what we're doing here with Uncorked, and before we throw to Jennifer for more on the Bellinger Foundation.
Yeah, absolutely. Pleased to be here. Thanks for having all of us and getting this going. A little bit about us, Uncork for a Cause, an organization. We started back in 2006, so we've been doing this for a good number of years. But we partner and pair professional athletes with charities around the country, and we host charity wine events on their behalf. So that's how we got involved with the Bellingers and Cody. Actually, back in 2019, we had these discussions to do this and planned it for 2020. And of course, we all know what happened there. We got pandemic out, so nothing happened. So we had this concept and we planned on doing something last year, and it kind of carried over. I then met Jennifer and learned of her plans to launch the Family Foundation. And that's where she and I started talking about this. We did a soft launch of the wine late last year after the World Series. So it was available for a bit online for fans to purchase for great holiday gifts, et cetera, knowing that we were going to do something into 2021 more formal.
Yeah, I mean, it's really cool. Like, I like the idea, the concept, and anytime you get, some high quality wine. I know we're going to get into the wine a little bit more with Tony, but right. Yeah, I mean, it's really cool, man. I love what you guys are doing with this for sure.
Yeah. So every time we partner with an athlete, we do a custom labeled wine, as you see here. And this was all done quite a while ago. But the wine we used with our partner Amici did score 92 points. It's a phenomenal Cabernet. It really is a great tasting wine. So, and yeah, once we get to Tony, we'll talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah. Before we do get into the wine, how did all of this come about, Jennifer? Before we get into the fun Cody stories and Bellinger family stories, I'm sure you guys have millions of them. Yeah, how did everything come to be, and with Bellinger Family Foundation and what's going on there?
Sorry, guys, I gotta go. Gotta go save a life.
All right. Thanks for stopping by, Clay.
Well, I mean, to back up really fast, even before Cody, that's why we named it the Bellinger Family Foundation. I mean, Clay was part of the Yankees, through 99, 2000, 2001. And, obviously during that time I was busy raising my kids and he was busy. And so the thought of, starting a foundation was a little bit daunting. And to be honest with you, I mean, back then it wasn't like everybody had foundations. It was pretty much, the elite of the elite in baseball did it. And, Clay was kind of the blue collar baseball player. He never was that big time player that had the platform like some of these other athletes did. So with due respect, there was also nothing that really touched my heart at the time either to say, this is what I want to do. And so obviously timing, was perfect because, obviously with Cody and what he's been doing, set up a different platform for our family. And then of course, right at the same time, two worlds collided where my mom, who has a baby brother, his name's Jack. So he's my uncle from Chicago originally, had been homeless and on the street. And since I was a little girl, last time I saw my uncle, I was in 4th grade. I was 9 years old. I was living in Santa Monica and we had an apartment there and he stayed with us for about a few nights. My mom then put him up at the Santa Monica YMCA. Back then the YMCA would host and house people. So that's the last time I saw him. And then my grandpa passed away about 5-6 years ago and left a will. And I was somewhat the mediator through the conversations with the trustee that said basically my mom and my other uncle Jim, who's the middle brother, could inherit their share of their money from my grandpa if and only if they find either my Uncle Jack or they file a death certificate on him. Now you guys got to know at this point, he has been missing for 40 years.
Wow.
40 years he's been on the street. So with also that, my grandpa had tried, he had hired private investigators pretty much every decade, trying to find him as, obviously technology changes and, things change maybe to find him. And we didn't know, maybe he was a John Doe and he, no one really knew who he was when he passed away due to elements or whatever it could have been. Plus he was at, pushing 70 at the time that I got this, conversation with the trustee. So fast forward, we hired a private investigator, and second one that we hired, the first one came up short. Second one found some track and trace a possibility of where he might be. And you're ready for this? Phoenix. So out of like every city and state of the nation.
Then he's next door to you.
Pretty much. Oh, I was like, what are the odds? So sure enough, my Uncle Jim, who lived in New Mexico, came into town, and with HIPAA laws, you can't call shelters and ask if someone's staying there. And we don't even know if he was using his real name or an alias. I mean, there's all those variables that come with homelessness, right? Mm. So that's when he had to come drive and go to all the different shelters. And he found my uncle at the Phoenix Rescue Mission here in Phoenix. Wow. And he had been there for 12 years, you guys. Wow. 12 years he had been housed. Here's the other part of this conversation that, and this goes a little deeper, but he's schizophrenic. And that's why, so this is that conversation we have with homelessness, right? You have are they on the street because of drug use that caused mental health issues? Or a lot of the people on the street because of mental health and they just don't like the way the drugs make them feel, so they try to self-medicate. Mm-hmm. And my uncle was that person back from the 60s to the 70s, where they really didn't understand schizophrenia as much as they do now. And even then, the drug and medications that they provide for them alter their state of mind, but also at the same time cause them to be almost numb. And so with that being said, that's possibly why. And plus, once you're off the drugs, if you're schizophrenic, if you know anything about it, they're always running and chasing.
Yeah.
So when we found my uncle, the challenge was always like what to do with him. And there's no handbook or cliff notes on what to do when you find a homeless family member after 40 years of being on the street. And mind you, like, he doesn't remember me, he doesn't remember, even he hardly really remembered his own family. So that challenge I had was also tenfold because I lived here. Mm-hmm. And it kind of became my responsibility. My mom was pushing 77 at the time, my other uncle's in his mid 70s. So they're not as, efficient and ready to take on this task. So I took on the task. But here's the crazy part. As I was trying to navigate through what to do with my uncle, I found out that there was a particular gentleman who is now not working for Phoenix Rescue Mission, who was stealing his SSI money. And that was partly why he was being housed there for the 12 years, you guys, was that somebody was banking on the $771 a month from the government that they applied on behalf of my uncle. So here's the thing, my uncle, even though he's schizophrenic, is super lucid at times and super intelligent. Mm-hmm. And he said to me, I know I'm supposed to get money. Will you help me? You're my advocate. Help me find my money. And I said, well, what kind of money, Jack? And I didn't really tell him about the trust yet, so I didn't know where he was going with that. And by the way, just to back up to that was set up specifically for my uncle to provide needs. I don't have access to that. No one does. Mm-hmm. It's only through once we put him in housing that check goes directly to housing and provides, a safe place for him to be. And whatever needs he has, medical, things like that. So after I found this out, his name is Sergio Salazar, and he's now serving in our federal prison because the Attorney General's office took the case through a few friends of mine that I know, and we were able to convict him, and we found 6 other victims, and a couple of them had been deceased. So that's just a common problem that we have with homelessness too. It may not be the people that are caring for them at the time. It may even be family members that know they're on the street and just take advantage of that situation.
Yep. Yeah. So, I mean, it's really just awful. The things that, if you're not paying attention, the things that go on with people that are, either, mentally incapable or, just, folks on the street, whatever it is, there's always somebody trying to take advantage. And when it's family, it's even worse. But when it's, I don't know, maybe it is when it's family and it's worse, but it's also when it's somebody you don't know, it's even worse. But yeah, I mean, it's awful. And the fact that you're able to kind of get there, find him, rescue him in a way for sure, and kind of have that spark here to I know that's kind of the mission statement of Bellinger Family Foundation is homelessness, and if I'm not mistaken, you're working out of LA, you're working out of Phoenix and all that, and I mean, go ahead and continue and kind of let the folks know more about what you're doing in that regard.
Thank you. So once we got him all settled, I knew on my heart I had to do something to provide, whether it be awareness, maybe even more opportunities. And I kind of let that simmer and process like what I had to go through. And so that's what started kind of my wheels turning a little bit. So we started the Bellinger Family Foundation to basically be more fluid, not specific to homelessness. That's going to be just whatever the needs of the community is at the time. So just like Kershaw's Challenge, what they do, they partner with somebody every year, and then that's what they do with that foundation. I love that. And so I think we're going to try to do that right now. It's the LA Dream Center as well. And that is piggybacks even kind of my passion for homelessness, because that is an epic problem there.
Yeah.
And so, and also, it's just 7 degrees of separation. I mean, Matthew Barnett and I have known each other for a while. I actually went to high school with his sister for a little bit when I lived in Arizona for 1 year with my dad. So there is a little bit of connections there apart from this. So it's just meant to be. So that's why we did the Amici promotion Uncorked. And that was specific to the LA Dream Center. They've got 3 floors they're trying to finish for family housing. They already have 1 floor completed. They're trying to complete 2 more floors. And each floor costs $50,000. So that's what I wanted the Bellinger Family Foundation. That was a current need. It's a community need for the Los Angeles area. It is specific to this time and what we're dealing with the pandemic. And so I just felt like that was the right time to launch. Even in the midst of the pandemic, It was the right time to launch that. I also started a sister nonprofit called Jack's House. And that is specific to homelessness. And that eventually will take legs of its own at some point in time. I'm in contact with some other people that have homeless foundations as well, and I'll piggyback along with them at some point. But here's my mission statement for that and my dream for this. Because even the Dream Center won't take on mental health homeless people. So that's a challenge that we have, is there's not very many of those bridge homes for mentally, health issues with homelessness. And so, there's obviously drug and rehabilitation, but that's a whole different type of mental health, right? Where my uncle comes in is a lot different. And you can't force, a 70-something-year-old man to take medication. No. So it's, it's through counseling, it's through, resources and direction. And obviously I lacked all those resources and I had to kind of figure that out. So long-term, I would love at some point Jack's House to have enough money in there where we can actually buy homes and make them bridge homes for our homeless community that have mental health issues. Wow. And at some point, maybe even try to reconnect them with family members through resources that we can provide by hiring private investigators, whatever basic information we can get, we can hopefully do that. So let me give you guys 2 quick stories about that. So I'm on Instagram and I do a raw, organic shout out about my nonprofit. Okay. They're just through Instagram stories. So a gentleman reached out to me, several people did, but one particular gentleman said, "Oh my gosh, I would love for you to meet one of my friends. He's just started a nonprofit. I won't say all the names yet. Started a nonprofit for a very large company that everyone knows. And it's towards sex trafficking. But I think, he'd be a great resource for you if you need more information." So we had a quick conversation, a 3-way call. And in that call, these 2 gentlemen have known each other for a few years. And in that call, I said to this guy that started the nonprofit, asked him his story and things like that. And when I shared my uncle's story, he was super quiet on the other end. And once I asked, "What's going on? Are you okay?" He said, "Yeah, I just realized this hit home and I have something I need to share. My mom is homeless. And it's also by choice." And then the other gentleman that took on my call to connect with me with this gentleman said, "Wow, I had no idea." And they've known each other for years. Wow. Then this gentleman said, "Well, I guess it's the perfect time for me to share. My sister's homeless."
Wow.
So here's what's interesting about that. In that 3-way conversation, this is what I learned. There's misnomers out there about homelessness, and that's what I want to raise awareness about. People think people are homeless because of their lack of resources. And yes, that's probably about 50% of the problem. But the other 50% of the men and women that are on the street are not a lack of resources. My uncle came from money. My grandpa had some decent amount of money. It wasn't like he didn't have a home to live. It wasn't like he wasn't welcome. It's just, again, part of the disease and part of the problem. So these 2 gentlemen said the same thing. They can provide anything for their family members. They have financial means to get resources for them. They have, ways to get doctors to help them based on their circumstance. But these 2 people, that their family members, are choosing to be on the street, So then that's part of the question that we always have, is how do you solve that problem when you have people that want to be on the street? So I know you guys think I'm going to be a little crazy when I say this, but I have a friend of mine, his daughter is choosing to be homeless in Portland, Oregon. I don't know if I want to go to Portland right now, but At some point, I might want to go to Portland. And yes, I'm going to live with her for a few days under the library and her homeless community. And I'm going to dig deep into that problem. I am. I'm going to start asking questions like, what does it take to get you guys into a home? Like, what is it you're missing, or what is it that you don't like? That's going to be my challenge and my goal for that. So final thing I want to share, if it weren't for what we just experienced last year, I don't know how much homelessness would have been and schizophrenia would have been in the back of people's minds. But, and again, I'm not trying to exploit the situation, but Andrew Tolles.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, that was one of the first connections. Obviously, before you know, Blake and I chatted a little bit about what's going on, just so I know, you know, what your mission statement is, and it's like, yeah, that's the best connective tissue right now for folks to hear. I mean, and this guy here was one of the guys who was following the Toll story for a long time, and you know, eventually he's found there in Florida, and you know, they had money. People ended up bailing him out of jail.
Exactly.
And that was like probably maybe the worst thing that could have happened. And there's, you know, that's also that kind of struggle of the power of social media too. Like it didn't end up helping the situation there, which is unfortunate. And, you know, I mean, I think things are going better now, and thank God the Dodgers have done what they can to help out in the Toll situation. But I mean, there it is right there. It's wild. And this is a dude who was a big leaguer as recently as what, 2018?
Yeah, real
Exactly.
recently. Yeah.
So
Exactly.
it's a problem, and it's not something where, you know, you might get the people who are busy in their everyday rush and just look at somebody on the street and be like, oh, this, you know, just go get a job. It's not always quite that cut and dry, folks. So so now we see all this, and you're talking about like trying to figure out how to put you know, a charity together or do something good with it. So it looks like you went to the right guy. We know, Blake, you have an incredible history of with Uncorked for a Cause and all the stuff, all the different major league players and just professional athletes that you've worked with over the years. So kind of give us.
I really just like to drink wine. That really comes down to that.
Give us a little bit more about that, and give us you know, give us our segue into some wine as well, because I think we all need to drink after some heavy stories for sure.
Well, I wanted to make a few comments about some of the things that Jennifer touched on, and my conversations with her the last months. You know, she has amazing ideas, amazing visions, an amazing heart, and she will figure out how to get these things done and do amazing things for people. One of the things right now, while we're still coming out of the pandemic, that Dodger fans can do is get Cody's wine. It's available. And, you know, first of all, to get a 92-point Cabernet for less than $50 is a pretty good bargain. It's $49. Amici, what we're doing with our partnership, $25 of every bottle goes directly to the Bellinger Family Foundation. So just over 50%, which is a huge donation from our partners with Amici. So thank you to them. But people can go to Bellinger.wine, and it's a direct link to the Amici Cellars landing page for Cody's wine. And for those that are super diehard fans, there are autographed bottles available with Mother's Day coming up, Father's Day coming up. Great gift ideas, either that or just, you know, get as much of the unsigned bottles as you can and keep them around for summertime.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we got these in front of us here. Before we dip into them, you know, Tony, and by the way, Jennifer, you're not getting off that easy. We got to get some happy Bellinger family stories from you as well, and some fun Cody. And I mean, you got a family full of athletes there, so I'm sure you were running crazy when everybody was growing up. But Tony, tell us a bit about the wine we have in front of us here and what we should pour first.
Yeah, well, I think, first off, thank you for having me and to the Bellinger family for choosing us. You can choose a lot of different wineries, and we love the partnership. Mental health is important. In fact, I think now more than ever with the whole COVID situation, people being home, I think it's become, I think for years it was sort of taboo to talk about these things. I think a lot more people are opening up now, and a lot more people are very open and honest, saying, hey, I have issues just like everybody else. We're not perfect. And I think, not being a professional athlete and Jennifer dealing with a lot of them, I think a lot of time everybody looks up to them. They're just like us. They're human beings. They can hit a ball better than we can, or run harder or throw harder, but they still have, a mind like we all do. So whatever we can do to help. So we decided to choose a special lot of Sonoma Cabernet for this. We work with both Napa Valley and Sonoma Cabernet. So definitely dig into this one. This is the first one. This is your wine right here.
The C35.
I have a glass of it here, so I've been sipping on it already. So
Yes,
I'm with you, Tony.
5 o'clock somewhere. So that's what we always say in the wine industry. So
I think it is for Blake right now.
It is actually.
yes, it is. It's close to it. So 100% Sonoma Cabernet, deep, rich, unctuous Cabernet Sauvignon. Our house style tends to be more polished and rich Cabernet, lots of black fruit and red fruits. So about 40% new oak on that. Just really special wine. Really enjoyed making it and choosing it. So it was fun.
Yeah, and again, I mean, this is wine that I'm not a huge wine guy, definitely far from a wine snob, but that is some good tasting wine. And, anytime you can get, wine for a cause, come on.
Yeah. We love working with causes. So, the wine business it's funny. It's one of the gifts you can give, you can actually enjoy,
Yeah.
So that's the fun thing about it. And you can do it again. It's amazing. You can do it 12 times through a box. It's really fun.
Yeah. I already know it's going to be a big hit because I already have friends texting me, asking me where I can get it. So that's how you know it's going to be a big hit among Dodgers fans because
good,
very delicious.
Gentlemen, I have to say, it's the first time I've seen anyone drink wine out of wooden beer mugs.
Yeah, I mean, it
2020
comes out of the barrels. Just got to keep it in the wood.
We really never question how you drink it. Just please drink it. So
it's a good point.
This is classic.
I'm not going to lie. I kind of want those.
There you go.
These are the wind up. I mean, that's also just a great name.
Those are the best. I need to get those.
Yeah, shout out to our friends at Dugout Mugs, which I guess now hashtag sponsor on this.
There we go.
Hey, while we're sipping on wine, though, I know, because I know Blake even before was saying he has a few questions and whatever. Let's have some fun. Let's get some Bellinger family stories out of you, Jennifer.
Okay.
I guess the easiest lead off is on Cody. When did you know you were raising somebody that was special, or somebody that had a chance to be as special as Cody has been so far in his young career?
I mean, one of my favorite stories was Clay was playing in Columbus for the Columbus Clippers, which is AAA for the Yankees. And Cody was just still a little guy. He was toddlers. He could talk, but he's probably 2.5, 3, maybe 3 actually. I think back. Yeah, he's about 3 years old. And back then, we didn't have like all these TV networks and ways to watch, especially minor league games. And so I had to have the radio on, in the background. But then my TV we had on, I think maybe the Seattle Mariners were playing, I think it was, and Ken Griffey Jr. was up to bat. And he would mimic like all of the batting stances he would see on TV. Okay. He was just still this little guy, already a lefty. I might have to tell you, I did not tie anyone's hand behind their back. He was already, people asked, he was already a lefty, already practicing those little tiny wooden bats you get at those games, kind of had a Columbus Clipper on it, So he was over there mimicking Griffey, and then Craig Counsell, mimicking his awkward stance. And yep, exactly, way up there.
Yeah.
And that. I have the very vivid memory of this day because he has a little pacifier in his mouth, and he was running his pretend bases, in the living room after he would hit the home run. And always hit the home run. He never stopped at second or third. He always had to come back to home.
Obviously.
And yeah, obviously. And he said, he came over to me and I said, safe, and he pulled his pacifier out of his mouth and he looks at me and he goes, Mommy, I'm going to play baseball like Daddy. I said, okay, buddy, I'm sure you will. You have these kids say, I'm going to be a firefighter or whatever they say they're going to do someday in their lives. I said, okay, buddy, I'm sure you are. And he goes, well, I'm going to play for the Dodgers.
Wow.
Well, here's what's crazy about this, you guys. I mean, yeah, we were in the Pacific Coast League for a little while, right? But he was just a baby in the PCL. In the rest of our career, we were over in the IL, International League, which I don't even know if that's even around anymore. But we were in the International League, and there was no Dodgers. I mean, even when we went to Florida for Tampa Bay for spring training, the Dodgers, were at Vero Beach, but we never played them. Like, it was just one of those, like, where did he get the Dodgers from in his brain? Because we actually never even watched a lot of Dodgers. Again, East Coast TV back then didn't show a lot of West Coast games. So it was just a different, generation. And so for me, that was kind of a defining moment for me. I remembered that very vividly that day.
I always knew Cody could see the future. He's always looking out ahead. He's always he's well ahead of his time, that kid. So he knew he was playing for the Dodgers even before he knew what a Dodger was, apparently. It's always funny because I think as a mom you always think all your kids are special. I think as a parent you think all your kids are special no matter what. My mom probably thought I was going to be a big leaguer when I was a kid. Obviously, it didn't work out that way, but I still get to work in baseball. And that's okay. But
closest to a bat he gets these days is this wine.
Yeah, no
mug.
kidding. Funny enough, Jennifer, we actually had a fan who wanted us to ask Clay about his time in Columbus because this guy was a fan, and he's like, I remember watching Clay play in AAA when he was here. So you'll have to let him know about that. But that's
Yep.
Yeah, were there any favorite memories like in those days besides that, just for you and the family, and just kind of I'm guessing there's you hear about the minor league stories too, and honestly, people get they get better stories out of the minor league sometimes than you do out of the big league lifestyle.
Yeah, I mean, so as a kid for Cody, he got to follow his dad around. I mean, that's one thing I made sure I did. We always made sure that we were following him whatever season he ended up being, pulled the kids out of school early if I had to, homeschooled just so we could be together as a family, not be separated too long, made that a priority. So Cody got to be with his dad quite a bit, in the dugouts and things like that. I'm sure you've heard some of the Yankee stories, but, minor league stuff, he got to be, the bat boy and things like that. So he got to be around, professional athletes early on. And then we were at the Yankees. One of my favorite stories was, obviously Derek Jeter is, Derek Jeter, right? He's
never heard that name.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't need to say more, but Cody is in the batting cage with some other, he had Tino Martinez's boys were in there. Mike Bucina's son was in there. There's quite a few kids in there. Paul O'Neill's son was in there. Scott Brocious' son was in there. So they're all kind of messing around the batting cage in the old Yankee Stadium, not the new one, which is underground. And Derek Jeter happened to walk by, and jokingly, Clay's watching, the boys play. And he says to Clay, he goes, is that your kid? And he's like, yeah. And he goes, where did he get that swing from? He's got a better swing than you. And Clay goes, I know, I hack. He's like, I hack at the ball. So, I mean, already for Jeter just to see something in Cody, even that just playing around with the kids, saying that he had a better swing, already at that age was just something that I've never forgotten either. Just something that kind of stuck in my memory too.
Jennifer, how did you and Clay meet?
At a bar. At a bar.
All right. Place to meet.
Yeah.
I had to throw in the sound effects for you guys. I'm sorry.
Thanks.
Do you remember your first official date?
Yeah, actually, we went to a place called Honey's. I think it's called Honey's Barbecue here in Phoenix. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Honey's
we met at a bar. Yep. I just backpacked through Europe, just came back, and met him within a month of that. So.
And now,
very nice.
And now here you are. You have an MVP. You have a family full of athletes. We just saw Ashley's announcement online as well. So congrats
on that.
To the future grandma coming up. I'm sure you love hearing that from me, so I apologize in advance.
Can I just say I love the idea of having a grandchild, but being a grandma, I don't know.
You have to come up with a nickname. It can't just be
I already did. I already did. It's Nana. It's Nana.
Nana. That's what I call my grandma.
Nana.
That's perfect.
See, it's easy. The G in front of that just scares me away.
Precious it, yeah. Nana sounds, familiar. It doesn't sound too far.
What were the struggles with all of that? With three kids as athletes, bouncing back and forth, the travel, the practice, and everything. I'm sure you put on a lot of miles when they were coming up. What are some pro tips you can give to parents of multi-sport star families, all that kind of stuff? What are your pro tips?
Well, number one, I'd say, obviously we had 3 kids, so you had to divide and conquer, and you can't feel guilty about it. You just have to, sometimes it's Rochambeau on who's doing what. Sometimes it's specific because of what they need. And you have to be willing to pass off that 3rd kid to someone else to take care of for the day or weekend, whatever it looks like. Luckily we had our kids spread off a little bit apart where the youngest didn't get shorted on that, but he had to go to all of his older siblings' events. And I think that's what's tainted him today. He doesn't want to do it as much anymore. I would say, lots of, little bit of mini alcohol things at the games to kind of get through the little league years.
Yeah. Yep.
Those are allowed.
Exactly. I don't know. I mean, I think what I loved about those years was just, the connections you made. And, I will say this, parents, even then and today, there's always that one family member, that one person that says their kid is the phenom, right? And I learned that some of these kids are phenoms early on, and they have an early, maturity, and they're hitting bombs, but it doesn't always equate to a professional athlete.
Yeah.
Right.
And so, the statistics are out there, right? If 1 in 12 scholarships to go to college, to play college baseball. And then less than so much % actually make it in the big leagues, so they can get to minor league level. So it's just not an easy road. So I would just give advice to those families, just like enjoy where your kid's at right now. Don't always put that cart before the horse, because you never know what's going to happen. You never know. And if you're always looking for that, sometimes it pushes the kid a different direction too. So.
That's why I'm not a big leaguer now. My mom pushed me too hard. I was so close. I was right there. I was just right on the edge, but oh well.
Honestly, that's killer advice right there.
That's great.
I'm people
I like the alcohol part too. That's a good part.
People watching, pro tips: don't push them. Bring booze. There it is.
Yeah.
There's your bullet points of it.
Simple formula.
Yeah.
Yep.
So this one's going to be probably the one you have to be potentially most careful with. What is your best embarrassing Cody story that you can just share with strangers on the internet?
Okay, so yeah, I mean, honestly, he's a funny kid. He really is. He's funny. He's got this really just raw sense of humor, which I love about him. So, but part of the joke in our family is that sometimes he's got this mind that once he's focused on something, everything else he gets distracted by. And so one particular day, my brother happened to be visiting from Denver, and he was going to make himself a pizza. And he's probably 12, 13. So he's not too young, not too old. He can manage a microwave, and put the pizza in the microwave. And he somehow, instead of 3 minutes, put it on for 30 minutes. So he started a fire in our microwave. So basically alarms went off, whatever, our microwave died. It was all that. So 30 minutes of burning a pizza in a microwave. So, he lost track of time there. I mean, there's some more, but yeah, I won't go too crazy on those.
He's got a pattern of not cooking pizzas too well. I think there was the one where he put the cooking sheet into it.
Oh, you do know about that.
Yes. I think that was I think Seeger posted that video or something like that.
Patrick Murphy.
Oh, okay.
Probably Murph.
That made its rounds.
Yeah, Murph, who's with the Blue Jays, has been his high school friend and his roommate. So yes, Murph is first to make fun of Cody, 100%.
So Cody didn't quite learn how to cook pizzas at any age.
Definitely not. That's one fail on my part as a mom.
That's okay. I mean, all things considered, we can let that one slip for the reigning National League MVP.
It's practice before pizza, and then usually pizza just happens after practice. You've got time to go make it, so that's good. It worked out for sure, and he doesn't need to learn how to make wine, because we got wine on lock here from these guys. I know there's probably definitely something special coming down the pipeline later this year, Blake, that I think we have the exclusive on this one, if I'm not mistaken.
There is. So, knock on wood, as things continue to improve across the country, we are, thank you. We are planning a number of markets, but it looks like August 29th we'll be in LA to host Uncork for a Cause with Cody Bellinger. So we're excited to let you know that first. We're still working on details, but once details are available, we will have limited tickets available to the public. It is a public event, ticketed event. Lots of great food, great wine, great friends. Some of the guys from the clubhouse will be there, front office, and of course, Bellinger Family Foundation. So, and our friends at Amici will be pouring lots and lots of great wine.
I think it's going to be a lot of fun for sure. Hopefully people don't get too trashed.
No.
Be coming out of LA. So, but no, that's going to be fun. We look forward to seeing how that all comes together. And I think you had mentioned it's a game day, a day game at Dodger Stadium. So hopefully we see some boys in blue out there supporting Cody and the Bellinger Family Foundation. Before we let you guys wrap, this has been great. This has been fun. Tell people again where to pick up wine, the spots to follow everybody on social for the latest updates on everything as well.
Yeah, for the wine, again, they can just it's just Bellinger.wine. And it's that simple, and it just takes you directly to the landing page at Amici Cellars. And then, certainly follow Bellinger Family Foundation. They have multiple social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and then Uncork for a Cause. And then again, once we get event details out, which should be in the next week or two, We'll get tickets out there and details to everybody. And then we look forward to seeing everybody in Los Angeles, August 29th.
It's going to be a blast. Thanks again, guys. Blake, Jennifer, Tony,
and for having us.
And our thoughts to Clay, who had to go
yeah,
nip out and work.
Sorry, I warned you guys.
No, it's all right. We appreciate him. We appreciate him.